Greetings and welcome to another video. I've just finished reading another Star Trek novel, and this time it's from Star Trek The Next Generation, and the book in question is Foreign Foes. And before I continue, I'm just going to read what it says on the back. The Hidran race and the Klingon Empire have been at each other's throats for 70 years, and Captain Jean-Luc Picard has been asked to do the near impossible. Take the USS Enterprise to the planet Velex to mediate a treaty that will end the conflict between these two aggressive species. Things get off to a rocky start, then turn deadly as the Hidran ambassador mysteriously dies and kills a Klingon delegate in a last act of vengeance. When Lieutenant Worf is charged with the ambassador's assassination, and Commander Riker and Counselor Troi are trapped far below the surface of the planet, Captain Picard must not only act to save the Hydrans and Klingons from each other, but to save his Klingon officer from a hideous death sentence. Yeah, this book, just like with the previous couple of books I've talked about, I picked up from a charity shop a few years ago in Shrewsbury, and only now I've managed to get round to sit down and read it. And in the end, I really enjoyed it. It surprised me in the end, because in the beginning, in chapter 1 definitely, you've got the landing party with Commander Riker, Captain Picard and Lieutenant Worf all on the planet's surface, about to host a meeting between representatives of the Klingon Empire and also the Hidran ambassador. And from the get-go, Commander Riker is asking himself whether or not it was actually going to be a good idea having Worf be part of the team on the planet, because the concern was the Klingon delegation would see Worf as a sore point and potential cause of trouble, while the Hydran ambassador and his team, they have a burning hatred for all Klingons, and so it might aggravate them in an unpredictable and uncontrollable manner. And with that in mind, me personally, I thought that whatever was going to happen in this story, it would all boil down to Worf being the cause of the problems, and if people like Commander Riker and to a lesser extent Captain Picard himself were thinking maybe we should have left Worf back on the Enterprise instead of having him here on the planet, why didn't you end up doing that in the first place? Okay, if you actually had real concerns that Worf would make things worse instead of better in this highly volatile situation, why the hell's he there? And I was concerned that whatever would happen in the book, then what I just said would be the whole cause of everything, and it would have been completely avoidable, any problems that happened. Instead, I was surprised. All the trouble and everything, all the problems that happened in the book weren't Worf's fault. He was blameless in everything that happens in this story. It just happened that wrong place, wrong time, and he just happened to get blamed for something he didn't do. And when we eventually find out in the story what actually is going on, and the whole hostilities are actually self-inflicted. The Hidran ambassador, who, as the book back says, dies in a mysterious way, his mysterious death causes tensions from the rest of the Hidran delegation, and it fuels that already seething and burning hatred toward anything Klingon. And some of the problems that follow from that are the fault of the Hydrans for sure. Their self-inflicted problems fueled by their hatred, not exactly helped by the fact that the Klingons themselves are going through a similar process. It's just a boiling kettle of chaos waiting to explode, a powder keg just waiting for that one lit match to just start off an entire bloody war. But eventually things come around, the truth is eventually discovered, and definitely my favourite part of the book is toward the end when Captain Picard starts seeing all the different pieces of a jigsaw puzzle come together, and Worf plays a vital part in this process as well, when the pieces of the puzzle start falling into place. And from that, Captain Picard gives off this amazing speech, this absolutely awesome speech to talk down a highly volatile situation, and in the process help in a big way avoid interstellar war. And the way that little bit comes together toward the end of the book is just absolutely beautiful. I thought it was really, really good. But before we get there, a lot of really, really strange things do kick off. And perhaps the strangest part of the story out of the whole book is what's going on with Lieutenant Commander Data. He starts acting incredibly weird. He starts acting incredibly out of character, completely different to his typical self of being Data. And I suppose the problem is, with Data being an android, how do you convincingly tell a story with a convincing and reliable explanation of how an android basically breaks down or acts out of character or does something not only completely stupid but also completely dangerous as well, but do so in a believable and reliable manner? And when the whole part of the story around Data was evolving, was taking shape, it seemed really weird, and it was difficult to get my head around how that was going to resolve itself. But when they brought together everything that was happening on the planet and what was happening with the grain that was being produced on this planet and the food that the people are eating, that turned out to be a massively important detail in the story. The food that people were eating that was being made on the planet, and how that connected up with how and why Data was basically going rogue, going renegade. I don't know how else to describe it, but that's basically one way of putting it. Data was going rogue, and because of the highly unpredictable and chaotic and uncontrollable, at least to begin with, chain of events that were happening on the planet, it was incredibly difficult for people on the ground to fully realize the potential catastrophe that was happening in orbit, and therefore it was going to be incredibly difficult, nearly impossible, to stop the chaos that was happening in orbit of the planet, which in turn could have started in an interstellar war. But how it all came together, this book was really clever. I thought, because from the start, and especially in the middle, the way the book was going, it was just, I want to say weird, but at the same time not. It seemed, well, I was it had me like completely bowled over. It was difficult to see, very difficult to see how this particular story was gonna resolve itself. I wasn't entirely sure what direction things are going to go off on. But like I said, when toward the end, certain details began to fall into place, especially at Picard's speech at the end, when he finally brought it all together. And I thought, yeah, this is a classic, perfect Captain Picard moment. This is definitely the kind of captain we expect Picard to be, and bringing it all together to eventually catch up with what's going wrong with Data and bring that in and regain control of that situation. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty amazing. It's only a small book. It's not very long. It's a short read, basically. But at the same time, so much is going on. It's a well put together book. Yeah, it's a very well thought out and a very well put together story, in my opinion. There were probably, well, how would I rate this? It's a good book. It's a very good book. There are probably better Star Trek stories out there. But at the same time, this is definitely very much worth a read. Definitely, if you ever see this on sale, either online, on the internet, or if like me, you happen to see it in a bookshop or a charity shop or at a car boot sale, wherever you see this, if you get a chance to buy it for yourself, I would recommend it. It's very nicely done. Very nicely done, I think. Very well constructed and nicely brought together toward the end when the pieces of the jigsaw fall into place. But yeah, foreign foes. On that note, I'm going to finish this video here. Thank you for watching this video. I do appreciate it. I honestly appreciate everyone who watches my videos. Thank you for your time. So yeah, take care, be safe, look after yourselves, and I'll see you all soon in the next video. Take care and goodbye.